And yeah, Peter, what were your thoughts on that last test?
Well, I was very lucky to be there for day 4 and 5. So I managed to get to the penultimate and then final day of the series. Um, and I think it actually had quite a similar vibe as the Old Trafford test in the sense that we had 3 days of relatively successful like full play. Um, and it was another thing of, oh come on, imagine if we play really well again and still don't beat them. It would be really it was that vibe, and you could feel it around the audience. Well, we got a session and a half on day 4, and then on day 5 we got a session, the morning session and the evening session, basically effectively worth it. It was probably not quite that, but yeah, it was amazing to be there for a number of reasons. Obviously, the win was great. Um, Obviously, being there for the last time before 4 years time, 2027, which feels like a weird number to say. It doesn't feel like that should be a year yet, but it will be in 4 years time. That's when we'll last be seeing the Aussie, next be seeing the Aussies on our shores. And I think the main reason why it was obviously incredible was after the announcement on day 3. I think it was that Stuart Broad was going to retire, and I was very lucky. I feel very honoured as someone that has followed English cricket for a long time. Felt very honoured to be there, to see it all. To be there when he had the standing ovation, to see the six, to see the last wicket to win the game being a Stuart Broad delivery. Um, I don't think I've seen something better in sport, as in terms of like the saying of you couldn't write that. I literally don't think I've seen anything better than that than Stuart Broad's story on at the Oval Test to explain the phrase "oh you couldn't write that." What did you think of it, Paddy?
I just thought it was fantastic. I mean, the six itself was just such a um like Stuart Broad's input on Bazball. It was such a brilliant way to end. And it was like there was that brilliant moment on that on that morning when you had Anderson and Broad obviously coming out to bat together, and I kind of it probably wasn't, but I like to the romantic in me was like thinking I think Stokes hasn't declared overnight because he wants to have Jimmy and Broad walking out the bat together one more
Yeah,
time,
definitely, definitely.
and I think that was like it was so nice, and I think obviously we were never going to bat for ages after that, because we had to go and, it just wasn't going to happen. But the fact that it did happen for a little bit, and then obviously Broad last ball in Test cricket he hits for six was just brilliant. But I remember the first few wickets which fell in that last innings. Obviously, wasn't Stuart Broad, and obviously Chris Walks and Mark Wood.
Mm.
They kind of they got stuck in as they have in the last three matches of this series where, after a bit of a tough start, we kind of called on them and they delivered for us, which was
Yeah,
brilliant.
amazing.
But as the wickets were kind of counting down, and when Broad didn't, he still didn't have one. I think his first wicket was Carey. Kind of thinking, no, sorry, the last wicket was Carey. But he got um,
I think
he
it was
got the wicket of.
Murphy. Did you get Murphy out?
Yes, he did. Yeah, so he,
Uh,
he got Murphy and Carey his last two wickets, and you're just kind of thinking, with one wicket left, Broad ball, and it's like it's got to be Broad,
yeah,
and like I had it on the radio, just listen to it, and obviously when you listen to it on the radio, you can hear every little sound, and it was the sound where you know you're there and you're picturing the scene where Broad's running in, you hear him like you hear his when he finishes his run up, you hear that on the stump mic, and then at the far end you hear the little nick, and then just the roar. And it was brilliant just to be able to listen to that. And obviously, I've got to go on record and say I am ridiculously jealous that you were there to witness that. But it had to be Broad, and I think it was just a brilliant way for one of the greatest to ever play Test cricket to say goodbye. Do you think? I just want to say in this because it took me a little bit by surprise. Were you surprised by the retirement or the timing of it? I know obviously it's been mentioned before, and I know people kind of joked saying like, "Oh, Anderson will be going longer than Broad," and I always kind of jokingly said, "Oh yeah, no, he probably will be at this stage." But were you surprised, like one at the retirement, and two the fact that it came when it did, and maybe not before the start of the fifth test?
It's a good question. I actually hadn't thought about this. Yeah, I guess so. I guess I was a surprise. I think if I'd been asked at the start of the series, who was I expect to hear retirement from, I think it'd be obvious to say Anderson, maybe Mitch Stark or someone like that is like this is it, I'm done sort of thing. Brody probably not. But reflecting on it, he probably doesn't really want to go to India again. He's just, he's got a young family now. He's had some taste of commentary with Sky Sports, and realistically, that's where he's going to go, isn't he? He's going to go into the commentary game. Um, and
Yeah.
I think now looking back on it with Captain Hindsight that I am, and actually I kind of like, oh yeah, I can kind of understand where he's coming from. It would have, I think I can also see why he decided sort of halfway through the test. He probably was thinking about it before. I'd imagine he didn't just decide overnight. I would imagine. I guess he'd been thinking about it for a while. But yeah, I can see that if he'd announced it before the oval test, A, there's no guarantee that he's getting in the team, but he obviously was. And B, it might have reflected or changed the way that England set up their game as sort of like a send off to Brody. Um, and if he'd done it at the end, Stuart Broad likes a little bit of show, let's say, and perhaps he wouldn't have got the same atmosphere and the same goodbye if he said at the end of the series he was off. Um, I think someone that probably is not as mentioned because of the history of Stuart Broad is that Moeen Ali has also hung up his boots. I think because he's done this a couple of times now.
Yes.
But he's said, yeah, this is it. I'm done now. Thoughts on Moeen?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a weird summer with Ali because when it was first got announced that Stokes had kind of they made out like sort of it was a proper like Stokes had sort of lit up the bat signal to kind of bring bring his mate sort of back into the fold the way
Didn't
it
he?
kind of
Didn't he
panned out.
text
And
him? Didn't he text him saying Ashes question mark something like that? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he literally just said ashes. um, and you look at it and I mean, personally at the start I was a little bit skeptical because I was thinking, this guy, yeah, he's got the experience, but that my main concern was that he'd not played Test cricket in so long, and it was just, he's been a long time out. We know what he can do. It's a case of, let's see if he still got it, basically. And I think he didn't he didn't enjoy. He didn't have a great time with things at Edgbaston. Obviously, the issues with his spinning finger. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
That's really properly healed. He was out the team for a bit over the summer, and but he came back in, but I think his finger didn't really have like a genuine window to heal. But in all fairness, he came back. He came back very strong. With the bat, obviously he got put in at number three. Um, for the last couple of tests, and at the Oval, he looked, he looked decent. He got a
I think we all
um,
joked about it at Headingley in the second innings, and when he came out, and we thought, just what is going on? But
yeah,
actually, you're right. In the end, he he actually looked quite good with the bat,
yeah.
and number three looked decent. Yeah.
He did. I mean, there was that first innings at Headingley where it was oh, Ali's coming out to bat a three, and then he didn't get many runs at all, and then he went, and it's like, okay, so that experiment sort of failed, but we stuck by it. And to be fair, I mean, he got he scored. He got 42 in the first innings.
Yeah. Well, so he
So
was he didn't.
34, and then obviously in the second innings he was, well, he's obviously injured, wasn't he? So he couldn't.
Yeah.
There was that really weird sort of ruling where, because of the nature of how he'd been injured or the injury itself, he could either come in after 2 hours or with England 5 wickets down. And it was just such a. I mean, that was bizarre in itself. But he came in, and he's, he got us going again. We'd stumbled a little bit, but Ali came in. He got 29 off 34. And yeah, he kept us ticking over. And again, that was an example of what he's done when he's batted in the middle order before. He was so, with Ali, I've always thought he was such a key person to have at like number 6, number 7, because if your middle order go and if your top order don't score as many as what you would like, it's nice having that kind of. He's almost like a buffer before you get to
Mm.
the genuine bowlers. And I mean, over the years, he's been a great servant for England. Um, so yeah, it I get what you mean, because that hadn't really sunk in because of the whole thing around Stuart Broad. But I mean, you know, Ali won't be coming back again. I like it after the match at the Oval. He said that if he got another text from Ben Stokes about playing, he'd delete it. So yeah, that's certainly that gets that message across. But no, it's a shame. I mean, it's been a weird one because didn't expect to see him come back, and then obviously he's come back for a whirlwind sort of 6, 7 weeks, and now he's gone
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, brilliant, no, brilliant servant for England, and I've loved his contributions over the years, and yeah, it's a sad thinking that we're not going to see him again. But yeah, I mean, it's overall moving the team forward. It's probably for the best, really, just to get
Yeah.
some
I
more
mean,
players coming through. I think.
yeah. I mean, Jack Leach will come back. You'd like to think. Rian Ahmed is
Yeah,
in the wings waiting. Um, and Ben Stokes proved that actually he's a he's a decent bet for number 3 now as well. If he can't bowl, he's got the temperament and the technique for number 3. But you'd imagine that Ollie Pope comes back and Ben Stokes tries to recover his fitness for bowling.